Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me today. I'm going to start by asking you, can you remember the first time you picked up a camera?
Yeah, sure. I remember that my mother had some old cameras my grandmother had, which are called box brownies, and they're old 120 film, which was pretty standard film at that time. And they bought, I think my father bought a roll of film, we didn't even know if they worked. And I must be about 5 or 6, so I'd go around the garden clicking it, not really knowing much about it, but the cat or the dog and stuff like that. And then my father got little prints done. And I sort of thought it was a sort of fascinating thing to have, even at that stage, fascinating to have a record of something, that you've taken something. You know, it's like that old African tribe sort of theory of you take something away from somebody if you photograph them. And it's sort of I found that sort of an extraordinarily interesting thing to have, a record of the moment.
Right, thank you. And what stage did you start thinking more seriously about your photography?
Well, when I was in the army, I took quite a lot of, towards the end of the time, I took quite a lot of photography because there were lots of, I thought, interesting things to photograph, and people and situations, and usually the thing behind the scenes, it was like theatre in a way, because I was in the Guards Regiment doing ceremonial duties in London, so we'd do Trooping of the Colour, or the ceremony at the Tower of London, or things like that. What the public always saw, which was nice, which was the front and the ceremony, but actually what was obviously interesting is the bits you don't see, which goes on behind the scenes, and you know, being there was a witness to something which not many people had access to. So I started taking pictures then. I'd been at art school before the army. I had thought of changing to photography from fine art and sculpture, which I was doing, and then I decided I didn't want to stay at art school, so I'd left St Martin's, gone into work at Sotheby's for a bit, really enjoyed that, but I could see you never make any money from that, and then left and gone into the army, and so it was sort of continuing that process. And towards the end of the time in the army, I was trying to work out what to do, and I decided I wanted to be a fashion photographer, but I didn't know how you became a fashion photographer, and I certainly didn't know what the future would hold as far as finances and money like that. And so initially I got some jobs, and I used the money then to build a folio and learn how to do stuff, and I managed to get a job as an assistant, very luckily Terence Donovan, and that taught me a lot. So then I wanted to go and practice myself to see what I was learning, and produce images myself. And I think at that point, I didn't know what taking something seriously, art, if you enjoy and you do it, it's taking it seriously. But I think it really focuses you if you need to make a living from it. And I think there's, you know, I saw, having been at art school and stuff like that, well, anyway, a lot of people who were creative, who would love to have been creative as a main profession, but they couldn't make it work financially. And so they ended up doing other things, whether it's being an accountant or working in the city or being a soldier, or being a graphic designer, you know, but which was frustrating for them because their real love or passion was, and a lot of people, it was always the idea that once they made enough money they would do what they loved, but actually in reality that often doesn't happen. So I think once you decide, okay, I really want to do this, but how can I work for, what does it mean to work for me, what can I expect to earn from it, and how do I earn money from it, and does that mean what I'll be doing actually will what I'll be doing, wanting to do in photography to produce money from it. And I think that really focuses your mind, because I certainly didn't want to be living destitute in a squat down on the East End.
That's right. Can you name your favorite subject matter?
I think a bit like a lot of things in life, in the end what you think might be your favourite subject matter doesn't end up being your favourite subject matter, that it chooses you. And I think that initially I thought I wanted to be a fashion photographer. What I realised very quickly was I was not very interested in doing fashion shoots. I found the process quite boring, nice photographing pretty girls or whatever, and producing nice images, but it was just not something I was that interested in. What I did end up realising that I was good at taking portraits, and I think the reality was the reason I was good at taking portraits is, one, because I had great technique, but which I learned, that's a craftsmanship part of the process. But the other bit, which was I'm generally interested in people and in the human condition, and so spending time with somebody, trying to get an understanding, trying to get something reflecting them, that's what I found interesting and passionate, and that's what I ended up doing.
Can you name your favorite photograph, or is it too hard to choose?
Right, I think I said, is that my picture that I've taken or somebody else's picture?
I meant yours, but you can also talk about someone else also.
Okay, so I think that the favourite picture I took, well, it was one of Imelda Marcos, which argues not a straightforward portrait. It's a picture of her, and it's just her hands. Oops, sorry.